Medical dramas may be a staple of primetime television, but set one in Northern Ontario, exploring themes of life and medical care in the North, and you've got a fresh take on that well-loved theme. That's what TVO's drama Hard Rock Medical does. It's now in its fourth and perhaps final season. It airs Tuesday nights on TVO and is available on our website, tvo.org, anytime. Here now, three of the people that make the show click. Derek Diorio is executive producer, director, and co-writer of Hard Rock Medical. Rachelle Casseus plays med student Farida Farheisel, is that how you say it?
Farazal.
Farazal, okay, very good. And Patrick McKenna plays the often troubled Dr. Fraser Healy. And it is a delight to welcome three such familiar faces, in my home anyway, to this set here at TVO.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And we have discovered, Dr. Healy and I, that we're basically the same person.
Incredible. That was bizarre that we know the very same people, the same streets.
We just figured this out now.
Yeah.
Born the same year, in the same city, grew up in the same neighborhood.
I'm sure I hit you with a snowball at some point.
I'm sure you did. Anyway, I'm over it by now. Let's talk about your show. What did you set out to accomplish when this show started a few years back?
Basically just to get a television show on the air. I mean, that's where, as a producer and a writer, you just want to get your work out there. And I'd been working up in Northern Ontario. I've been working on French dramas in Sudbury since 2007. And I was working for TFO, which is a French version of TVO. And I couldn't understand why there wasn't a drama on TVO. So I contacted the lovely folks at TVO, had them come up to Sudbury, see what we were doing, and over time, we developed this show called Hard Rock Medical, based on the Northern Ontario School of Medicine. The goal really was to make a television show and make it up in Northern Ontario.
And essentially, the show follows the ups and downs of the lives of the hospital staff, the med students who are there, and Northern Ontario School of Medicine is sort of,
well, I mean,
it's based on life there, but it's not really based there.
Well, the thing is, it is loosely based, and that was they wanted that term, loosely based, because the school is a real entity, it has a real curriculum, it has real people. A lot of our characters are, in fact, Rachelle's character was based on one of the students that was going there. You know, there are amalgams. Mr. Healy is based on a bunch of people that are teaching at the school. So we did our research and we plucked different people, and some of them were 2 or 3, and we put them into one body. So it has a real ring of truth about what they were actually doing up there.
Except I can understand why the Northern Ontario School of Medicine may have initially been a bit reticent to say, yes, this show is based here, because he's a raging alcoholic, and she's confessing to everybody under the sun that she's having, you know, had an affair once upon a time, and maybe that's not the brand they want to establish.
Well, interestingly enough, when we approached the School of Medicine, they didn't want to even meet with us. I made a phone call, and it took me a year to get a meeting with them. And when we went and had the meeting with Dr. Strasser and all these doctors, that was
Roger Strasser's the guy who runs the place.
Roger Strasser is the dean. And yeah, I felt so much pressure. I've never felt that kind of pressure. These incredibly educated people who save lives and, you know, teach people to save lives. And I said, we want to base this drama on you guys. Why are you so reticent to do that? And they said, we're afraid you're going to savage our brand and that you're going to make fun of ethnic minorities and the Indigenous population. And
so how did you get his trust?
Well, I said, well, you know what? You're reading my mail, because for the last year, that's all I've been doing. I've been working with Indigenous folks, and we're not here to savage your brand. We want to make a show that, you know, that basically does all the wonderful good things you folks are doing. We're not a standard medical show that's going to be doing, you know, the soap opera stuff and looking for reasons to make you look bad. We want to make you look good. And they started out as, I'm not on the other side of the fence, to the point where they came around and they've been one of our biggest supporters.
Okay.
And, you know, Dr. Strasser has become somewhat of a friend, and I've learned so much from these people.
Good stuff. Let us dive into a couple of your characters here. I have to confess, I kind of didn't recognize you when you walked into the studio today, because you play a Muslim med student, and you are almost always, in almost every scene, wearing a hijab.
Yeah.
Your character starts out very closed, and then as we move along through the seasons, and then into season 4, there is a lot of backstory that comes out, and we find out how absolutely troubled, hooked on pills and other bad stuff you are. As an arc of a character, how enjoyable is that to play?
It's more than anyone can ask for as an actor. It was a delight. That's one of the things that really sort of intrigued me about Farida, is that she was so sort of inhibited and emotionally sort of closed, and you wondered why, what's behind that, what's underneath it. And as we've seen throughout the series, there was a whole world of stuff underneath that.
Did you know that from season 1?
No, I didn't.
That emerged as you went along?
It emerged, yeah. But obviously, I mean, I had some inclination that, you know, throughout the series we were going to see why, what made her so sort of reserved, and we did. So it's been a wonderful exploration for me.
I kind of want to ask you the same question off the top as well, because you are sort of you get all the funny lines in the early years, but then you have a pretty massive alcoholic breakdown as well as the show goes along.
It was a really interesting opportunity. When Derek contacted me, he was describing, one of the first questions, do you have any special talents that we could write into the show? And I said, no, I don't really have anything other than maybe ADD. And he went, that's perfect, because so many emergency room doctors have ADD. So that was one of those, for me, was great, because I'm already out doing lectures and stuff on ADD. So it's like, well, this would be a great way to showcase these are the type of roles and jobs that people get. It doesn't have to be a negative in your life. ADD can be quite successful. And as is Dr. Healy to a degree. Emotionally, he's not quite there yet, but he still has that responsibility of being the doctor. And as an actor, that was wonderful, because I'm a father. So you have that line to walk of, when are you Patrick and when are you dad and when are you the doctor? What role are you required to be? And Dr. Healy's constantly going through that of what role is he at this moment. And it's just great, that excitement of, what part of the onion do I get to unpeel this week?
Do you know a guy named Rick Green by chance?
I do know Rick. He's pretty popular around here, I believe.
So I understand.
Yes.
And he may have some ADD issues as well.
A little bit, yeah. Rick and I kind of got into business together and started doing this. And it's been a wonderful journey that way, too, because the people I've met the last couple of years. And again, back to doctors and EMI workers and policemen and everybody else. So that was great to be thrown in that mix of Dr. Healy into the severity of all this. Let's throw this in and see what happens.
Can you, just for those of us who are not actors and who don't understand the appeal, what is the appeal of seeing your character descend into a personal hell?
I think the advantage is that oftentimes, as a human being, you're safe because you're not falling into an actual hell, but you do get to examine the steps that take somebody there, and perhaps even to understand and sympathize, and maybe at the end of the day empathize that I'm on those steps myself. And that's the advantage of being the actor, is that you get to come home safe each time, but you do get to explore these dark places or wonderful places or sexual places that maybe you just don't get to go very often as a civilian, but you're allowed to step into and then come home safe.
There's 5 episodes left in this season, and I'm so tempted to ask you whether or not you finally get to... No, I'm not going to ask. Never mind.
I wouldn't tell you.
Do you know?
Yes.
You do know. It's all shot.
Yep.
It's all done. Okay. Let's talk after. No, I don't want to ruin it for
I'm
myself.
Luke's father.
I want to know if you had any particular challenges shooting in Sudbury and North Bay, where this show is made.
We get this, that's a question we get asked all the time, and I explain it. There were no challenges, in the sense that, you know, Sudbury and North Bay are basically a 3.5-hour, 4-lane highway drive up there. They have cameras, they've got lights, they've got electrons, they've got everything.
But it's not the waterfront in Toronto,
it's
which
not
is
the
where
waterfront
most stuff gets made.
Exactly, and that's the whole idea, is that people go, well, where does television and film get made? Well, it gets made in Toronto, it gets made in Vancouver. You can make a film absolutely anywhere. The real challenge is we have a low-budget show. And most of our actors initially were coming from away. But the challenge was because we're a medical show, and every week it means you have to bring in a new character. And in this season, the last 2 seasons, 50 new characters were created every season.
50?
50. So,
but you have some actors playing more than one character.
Yes, well, we did that too, but that's a whole other story. So it's very expensive to keep bringing people in from Toronto or whatever, and we've discovered a wonderful pool of actors up in Northern Ontario who not only are they good, but they became characters that they did a performance, they were brought on as a day performer, and then they became a repeating regular character in the following season.
Okay, because you've got to clarify this for me, because when you watch the show, the assumption might be, oh, of course they do the outdoor establishing shots in the north, because you can't fake those. Right. But all the interior stuff they must shoot in Toronto.
No, everything, every frame is all shot up north, because we couldn't afford to come and shoot in Toronto. It's too expensive. You know, we are a small show. This is a show that punches way over its weight, like in terms of you know, production values. And the thing is, again, back to this challenge thing, we've developed crews, and the whole show was edited up in North. It was shot up North. It was, you know, the bulk of the crew and the actors, after our main cast, were from the North.
Okay, then tell me, how have you either enjoyed or not, because it's a ways away, spending much of the last 4 years in Northern Ontario?
Both, I would say, enjoyed and not. Can I say that?
Sure, you just did.
I just did. No, you know, the temperatures are colder than Toronto. The weather is something to deal with, and but at the same time, there is sort of an anonymity in Toronto that I find that you don't find, in my experience, in North Bay or Sudbury. There is a community feel, even though Sudbury is a bona fide city, and it wouldn't be considered maybe a very small town, but it does have that feel. The people are very warm, and there was something really beautiful about that. And you know, just geographically, you know, it's very hilly in Sudbury, and there is something about this feeling of isolation, that there's nobody around you, but at the same time you feel sort of comforted in this small community feel. So so it was definitely both.
How'd you like living out of a suitcase for the last 4 years?
I kind of loved it myself, because I never experienced the Shield. So it was a real opportunity to go north, and every time I had a day off or something, you just jump in the car and drive around and experience the Shield as much as you could.
It's gorgeous.
It's absolutely breathtaking. It's just beautiful. And Sudbury, when we got there, was just my vision of what I thought Sudbury was going to be, which is plain rock, that they tried the moon landings there, and it was just black. But by the time we got there, all the trees they planted 30 years ago started to grow. Yeah. It's a very green, beautiful city. And as you know, growing up in Hamilton, it's kind of a workaholic town. Sudbury's very much like that too. So I really like the people, I like the vibe, I like going out at night, the restaurants are great. And North Bay was even more of that. It's a real community that realizes we're far north, we rely on each other. Yeah. So it was a real easy thing to fall into, because they were so welcoming to us. They celebrated the show like crazy, which is particularly in North Bay, they just thought it was wonderful. So that was a really great experience, just to go out there and explore more.
I did want to find that out from you, Derek, because if you shoot a show in Toronto, you know, there's crews around this town all the time, and no one gets particularly fussed about it. If you're shooting up there, my suspicion is everybody notices, and not only that, they want to make sure that you are portraying them in a way that respects their lives. How much pressure on you to make sure that works out? Actually,
no pressure whatsoever, because I think the one difference in the way we approach stuff, you know, our crew, is that we try to be inclusive, as opposed to barging into a neighborhood and saying we have cameras and we're making something. I want people to be part of the process. I have a very different approach. I always learned that if people like you being there, they will tend to want you to come back and want to be involved. It's been a fantastic excursion into North Bay, because we've had so much support from the Indigenous community, from the local crews, from merchants, etc. There's nothing difficult about shooting up there. And also, I try to make it, I don't want to take over a street. If I can find a way of shooting on that street and it's not impeding people's lives, we'll do it that way. We don't force ourselves onto a community, and I think that it's been noticed by the people, certainly in North Bay.
Particularly I would say with the Native community, that inclusion in the discussions and the talks we've had, particularly Derek on your end of what's gone through, but that opening that door to that community was so welcoming to them, that they didn't have to watch over our shoulder and see, are you playing that right, are you performing that ceremony correctly. They respected that we talked to them first and then brought it to the show.
Well, that's what I did wonder, because you do have, I mean, you do quite a good job of it, actually, of not being pedagogical in the way that you actually, just by watching these guys live their lives, teach people about Indigenous customs. And for example, a couple smudge ceremonies that have taken place, and I presume you had to do some research to make sure you got all the details right.
We have consultants up on, Nipissing First Nations, and we don't, as writers, myself, Smith, Corindia, and myself, we don't write our idea and then go and shoot it. We go and consult, listen to what they have. That whole smudging, the full moon ceremony that we did in the last season, they gave that to us, and we took it was a gift because we used it as the arc for the whole season, and we wrote around the real ritual as opposed to imposing ourselves. And I think that's been the difference. We listen to them, and it's been a bonus for us. It makes our show better. It makes it real again.
Did you know, Rachelle, much about Indigenous customs in the North and that kind of thing before you started the show?
No, I didn't at all. And I loved that Derek and Smith wrote some of those aspects into the scripts. And I loved meeting, you know, the Indigenous First Nations actors. Some of the nicest, most down-to-earth actors I've ever met.
Mm-hmm. Now, lest we make this sound too goody two-shoes here, you know, there are some scenes in your various episodes that don't portray First Nations in the most admirable fashion. You know, there is some real life about all this. Mm-hmm. Any difficulty with any of that?
I would say, I would answer that question by saying there's just people in general aren't portrayed in particular. Like, that's every walk of life has got its dark side or its, you know, its rough side. But again, each of the scenarios, we would talk to people. In fact, one of the things that all the Indigenous actors, we would say, would you say this? And there were instances where Andrea Menard would say, no, I wouldn't say this. In fact, can I make a suggestion? Here's where I would go with that. We changed the script to accommodate so that it had that authenticity.
Andrea plays one of the med students.
She plays one of the med students. Yeah. And there was another actor, Lawrence Bain, in the first season, who said, you know what? If my friends see me saying this, I'll get drummed out of the country. So, you know, you make accommodations. And that really didn't happen in future seasons because we became sensitive to it and we understood, let's ask first, does this work? And then it's been an amazing journey that way.
Okay, let me get back to the doctors here for a second. Have you played in other previous movies or series a doctor?
Yes, and some sci-fi ones I had, and it's always the most troublesome, I think, for a lot of actors because it's just language that you have to learn and own, and to be, particularly as in my role on the show as a teacher, means you've been doing this a while. Mm-hmm. So to be able to throw those lines away and the medical jargon away as quickly and as easy as doctors really do, that's really the learning curve a lot of times.
What's the most number of takes you had to do on a scene because you couldn't say that 20syllable medical condition?
We were doing the ultrasound.
Doxycycline was the word you were having.
That's the one, yes. And also the one that Michael Jackson died of.
Come on, doctor.
I know, it was the same thing. I can't even remember it now. It was the same thing that day, too. It was so simple, and I think I had the script written down beside the person's stomach, and I had to do one of these as I read the script. It's like, I can't say that word. It's too many syllables on that one.
But if you're doing, let's say you're doing a medical drama in Toronto, you're going to see a lot more gunshot wounds come through the ER than you would, you know, fishing hooks and cheeks, which you saw.
For one of the years, I was shooting the show Remedy, which is a medical show on a different network, and this one. And it was a downtown hospital with gunshots and this, and then you know, everything going at high energy all the time. And then going, well, there's another medical show I do that is so laid back, you think you're an Andy Griffith show, you know, it's completely different. But both have the same object to conclude within that hour, is to heal somebody. And you can see sometimes that spiritual healing is almost as important as physical healing.
Did you, I mean, I'm presuming you spoke to doctors who were there in order to get, you know, just everything tickety-boo.
Right.
So it's different. The kind of medicine they do there and maybe the approach is different in the North?
Well, that was really the examination of the show, was the type of doctor that is required to work in the North or who can tolerate working in the North. That it's so different day to day and that you do have to understand the community as well as the medicine. And that's a learning curve for a lot of the young doctors who that they stay or they don't. So that's why you end up with people like a Dr. Healy in that mix, who's so different than Christian Lorraine, who plays his character. It's, these are just people that are required that can work in this environment. So that discovery is very different too. And I think that's something that the show showed really well. Like, I think where the character was going back to Australia. You know, those type of things of taking all this Canadian information and going back and trying to work with that. Just showing the input that the Canadian medicine has on the world even. That these doctors go away and take this information with them.
You didn't actually shoot that in Australia, did you?
We did. In season 1, we went to Australia. We shot 2 episodes in Australia.
Very cool.
Who went to Australia?
We only took 5 people, myself and my director of photography, a sound guy, because it's important, first assistant, and that was it.
They didn't make the cut, eh?
Well, we wanted to expand the show, but you know, co-productions with other countries are very, very complicated.
I don't imagine there are many people watching us now who have not seen any of the episodes of this program. I mean, they've been on for 4 years, and all the episodes are on our website. But we did bring a clip, just in case. You want to set this up?
This clip, basically, it's a very small clip, but it puts a button on the journey that Rachelle and Patrick's characters have had over the 4 years. And I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
In which case, Mr. Director, let's roll it.
You know, most people would have wilted in that situation.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The way you handled it with humility and grace, not a lot of people can do that. You know, actually, I think all your years of being a teacher is going to make you that much more special as a doctor. Welcome to the club, Dr. Farrisell.
Thanks.
I've always wanted to ask an actor this question. How do you cry real tears on command?
An onion?
Really? Is that the trick?
Yes, no.
No, it is not the trick.
No, it's not. Maybe for some actors. No, for me, like, I just really like to go there emotionally. For me, it's very cathartic. It's, you don't get to experience some of the things that you do on screen in person or in real life all the time in public. So, so these experiences are a gift for me because, you know, we have all of this stuff, and sometimes it needs to come out, and I've been lucky enough to have this as a venue for it to express itself.
Follow-up, okay?
Yeah.
One follow-up. When you're crying, are you thinking of a real-life personal tragedy of your own experience and drawing on that, or something of the characters?
Dead kittens.
Why do I get the feeling I'm not being taken seriously here?
I'm sorry. No, to answer your question seriously, in that specific instance, I think it was more of a personal thing. So as actors, we're taught many sort of techniques as to how to access those emotions. And a lot of actors tend to have a toolbox of, okay, maybe this, you know, Strasberg technique of reliving some childhood trauma will work for me. Or maybe in this instance, I can actually put myself in this character's shoes and go, no, you know, I feel what she's going through, so it just comes up. So
You recall what it was in that scene there?
do I have to get into it? Is this like a...
You can tell there's an intense curiosity I have about how, I mean, it is a great talent to be able to draw upon whatever is going on in there and cry in front of other people. I don't know how you do. I mean, I couldn't do it. How do you do it?
I think it's probably more accepted for women to express these kinds of emotions, but that instance personally, I don't even remember.
Well, it worked.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can tell you, see, what happens is I lean in and I say, if you don't do this, you don't get paid. And it just like it happens like this.
The notion of no paycheck, that brings the tears.
Everybody cries.
It is difficult for men, I find, to do that because we're taught not to cry growing up. And it's very hard to even find those emotions that would ever make you cry. You know, sometimes with boys, maybe it's physical pain, but it's very difficult to find that emotion to get there to go cry. And I think that's, as you're saying, it's more permissible for women. And it seems to be more scenes have women doing that. Maybe that'll change in the world that we're living in now. But that's what I find difficult as a man. It's just hard to find that place to go to.
Let's finish up on this in our remaining moments here. You've all finished shooting the show. It's all in the can. It hasn't all aired yet, but it's all in the can. Are you satisfied with the way your character's, you know, arc has been brought to a conclusion?
I certainly am, because my character had the alcoholic phase of season 3, and to be able to come back shows that he's healing. And I think that's enough of a road for a conclusion for this particular doctor, that he's on a road to recovery. And that's a good place to leave him, I think.
You've got your issues to recover from. A bit of a drug habit in the middle of, was it season 3?
Season 3, yeah.
Season 3, and then, you know, a bit of an affair to get over. And are you satisfied with the way your character comes to a conclusion? I
am. I think that she's kind of finally taking the reins and going, no, and she's come into her sort of own, and she's become a doctor and an adult, and I do. You know, I think the road is still going to be up and down for a lot of these characters, but I like that Derek kind of left everybody sort of open-ended in a way. It is conclusive, but it's still sort of left like, okay, well, the journey continues.
Speaking of which, I want to know if the journey, in fact, does continue, because everything I've seen you say in the past has been, this was intended to be a 4-year show, we're coming up to the end of season 4, that's it. However, would you be open to a season 5?
Oh, of course we'd be open to a season 5. Who wouldn't be? I mean, the show, you know, some shows are exhausted. I think we're just hitting our stride with this show.
So then why pull a plug?
You know, there are factors that are not in my control. Like, you can keep on pitching shows, and sometimes they just, you know, everybody has their reasons for either making a show or not making a show.
So for the moment, it's run its course.
For the moment, it's run its course, and we're working on other projects, and hopefully, and more northern projects, because I'm in love with being up there, to the point where I'm even considering moving my entire family back up north, because I'm a small town mouse as opposed to a big town mouse, and I love it up there.
Well, as we've seen from Will and Grace and Roseanne, maybe we just give you guys a hiatus for 10 or 20 years and then bring you back, see what mischief you've all gotten into in the interim. I think that would work. I can't wait to see how this all works itself out. I thoroughly enjoy the program. Thanks for making it. Thanks for being in it. And we're grateful you all spared some time to come into TVO tonight and talk about it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Tuesday nights, TVO, and at tvo.org online anytime. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
The Agenda with Steve Bacon is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.